Did we have to alter our meal plan? And why? Be sure to stick around and see how we need to be more creative as ingredients dwindle and we run out of certain things, but not tomatoes. Today for lunch, I'm gonna make an iced coffee because I'm tempted to get one from my favorite coffee place. Got ice in my glass. I was gonna swirl chocolate syrup in my glass and decided I didn't want the extra calories, and we're being overrun with tomatoes. Let's change things up a little bit with the menu plan. And a little milk, a little caramel macchiato cold foam. And this is gonna be my lunch today. Having a tomato sandwich, and so is Pappy. And we're also having tomato sandwiches for supper because, as you saw at the beginning, we have a lot of tomatoes. It's such a short season and they're so delicious. Here's my sandwich. There's a zucchini in the background. More on that later. Here's lunch. Gonna try some turkey bacon and eggs for breakfast today. I got this and had it in the freezer a while ago. It's supposed to be less calories and more protein than regular bacon, but we prefer regular bacon. I'm gonna cook this up for me for during weekdays. I decided to go the oven route for the turkey bacon. I started out in a pan and it seemed very watery, and I just figured I like other bacon on the rack better, so that's what I'm gonna do. So it's told me 17 minutes, the instructions, 400 degrees. And then I decided on scrambled eggs, and I'll probably top it with cheese. I'm scrambling my eggs with a little milk to make them fluffy. And then I'm going to use a little bit of plastic cheese on top. I'm going to save our fancy cheese for lunchtime. I definitely like the results of this bacon cooking method better than the pan frying. I like the way they look. They're a little bit crisp. Got eggs going and the rest of the bacon's ready to come off. This is breakfast today. I wouldn't call it too much of a sacrifice. Looks pretty good to me. Getting ready to make lunch today, and it's gonna star these beauties here from the garden. Pretty sure this is a Cherokee Purple. I don't know what the other ones are for sure. I'll have to go out and check. We're gonna make toasted bacon, cheese, tomato sandwiches on that sourdough I keep in the freezer. We have some turkey bacon that I cooked earlier for breakfast. And we're going to use the cheese left over from the Whole Foods haul bonus video. I just buttered the other side of my bread and layered cheese and the bacon, and I'm gonna leave this piece plain because I'm gonna put some mayonnaise on there before I lay down the tomatoes on it and put the sandwich together. There's our sandwich before I put it together, and I'm gonna cut it in half and we're gonna share it for lunch because we're gonna have stromboli for supper. Homemade stromboli. Here's our lunch. And Pappy's home for lunch today. Looks good. I'm getting ready to make my dough for the stromboli. And I have 1 1/3 cup warm water, packet of active dry yeast, and a tablespoon of sugar. And we're gonna whisk this up and see if our yeast is alive. Now we have to wait 5 minutes and see what happens. I'd say our yeast is foamy. Now we need to add a teaspoon of salt and 2 tablespoons of olive oil. We also need to add 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour, and we'll need extra for our work surface and our hands. I don't have a big mixer, so I used these on my hand mixer, and it worked fine, as you can see. And it said that you're supposed to add a teaspoon of flour if it's still sticky at the end of 5 minutes with the hook beater. So it was a little sticky, so I added 2 teaspoons, and this is what we have after that. And when you poke it and it bounces back, it's ready to cover and rise. So it said to lightly grease the bowl, and then you're gonna need your dough. It said to turn it so all sides were covered, and then you can cover it with plastic wrap or a clean tea towel. You need to let it rise for 60 to 90 minutes until it's doubled in size. So here's our dough. I'd say it looks doubled in size. On to the next step. So you want to roll your dough out about 10 by 16, and this makes 2. If I didn't mention that before. So we're each going to make our own little stromboli, and we're going to have leftovers for tomorrow. Now we have both pieces of dough ready. We'll work on the fillings. I have these 3 garden fresh green peppers, and I'm going to chop one up for the stromboli and get the other 2 ready for the freezer for stuffed peppers again. We have our pepper and onion for our stromboli, and then I'm going to put these 2 in the freezer for stuffed peppers coming up here someday. And while the stuff is frying up in the pan, I'm going to get my slices of mozzarella down here as a base. I'm going to save this for on top. I always have a ton of cheese in the freezer. I'm using some of this seasoning in here. I just shook some in. Looks like it would go good with this. And we have our filling in. We just need to top it with cheese. It's smelling good in here. And we're topped with cheese. Lots of cheese. And there's birdies and Pappies. We slid them onto the sheet pan using the parchment that was just underneath them and trimmed the edges. Now we're going to bake for 25 minutes and check them then. I'm just going to heat up some pizza sauce and have some tomatoes from the garden on the side and grilled artichoke halves. And I may even cook up the rest of the green beans with some garlic and olive oil. For my green beans, I already had them partially cooked in the fridge. I put them in the pan with some olive oil and garlic and seasonings. I'm just going to let them cook a little bit until our stromboli's done, and we'll have a healthy side. Our strombolis are out of the oven. They're a lot bigger than I envisioned, but that's fine because leftovers. Here's supper. We have stromboli, green beans with garlic and olive oil from the garden, and I have some grilled artichoke hearts, or halves actually, and Pappies. We have little tomatoes. Looks like a good Friday night supper. Getting ready to make a Saturday morning breakfast, and we're gonna have sausage, egg and cheese muffins and hash brown patties. And I'm gonna make myself a fancy coffee. We're air frying at 400 degrees for 7 minutes and then flip it. Another 7 maybe. Make them nice and crispy. Pappy was looking out the window and said the bumblers are in the flowers. I don't see any now. There's one. Oh, yeah, they're getting a little freezer burnt. We better start eating them up. Tom would be upset. Tom, yes. We got our sausage and eggs going. English muffins popped. I think I'll go with one of these half-calf pods today. I don't know, my nooks and crannies aren't looking very nook and cranny-y. Well, the cherry container is empty. Very sad. Just like the fast food place, only cheaper. And cherries. And Pappy's. Here's our easy Saturday night supper. Leftover stromboli. Here's breakfast today. We have a lot to do, so we're gonna have a really quick breakfast. And Pappy likes Raisin Bran Crunch type cereal. So he's having that, and we noticed the date was getting close. He didn't open it yet. So he's having that, and I'm having peanut butter English muffins with more of this outdated coffee that still tastes fine. And we'll get our day started. We have a pretty easy meal tonight. If you remember back from the Aldi reality haul, we did stuffed peppers and stuffed zucchini boats. We ate the stuffed zucchini boats, and I put the stuffed peppers in the freezer. I mentioned green beans being ready to harvest at the same time as peppers, so I'm going to add some green beans to this dish. I had a bunch from the garden, and I cleaned them, partially cooked them, and had them in the fridge ready to go. That's enough for tonight. I just shoved them in the oven so they can warm up while it's preheating to 350, and it'll probably take about, I'm going to say 40 minutes. And here are our delicious stuffed peppers and green beans on this dreary day. And we have Pappy's, put a little grated cheese on top. See you next time on the third and final part of this Pantry Freezer series, where although we are running out of ingredients, we made our yummiest supper yet.